excited. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Come on in, it'll be fun. We're crazy. It's.
We're looking.
Not so fast. Yeah.
We don't say for that.
It might be a little too crazy.
Just put 1 foot in the door.
There you go.
So we can at least count you as here.
There you go.
The numbers are up. So how's everybody doing? Good con so far? Right on. Well, welcome to this panel. It's the ins and outs of indie, and we're going to just talk with these 5 wonderful people here who are all independent publishers and just get a little knowledge from them. I'll be honest, this panel is a little self-serving for me because I actually have a lot that I want to learn, and I thought it'd be great that while I learn it, other people can learn it too. So, and I'm hoping that this will be one of the first of many learning panels Sci-Fi Monkeys can do, which is where I'm from, sci-fimonkeys.com. Check it out. So we're just going to go down the table and introduce everyone, or have everyone introduce themselves and tell what they do. And we'll start with Chuck down here.
Hi, my name is Chuck Anderson. My wife and I over there run Alucard Press, which is a small horror press. We put out a line of vampire novels called the Black Irish Chronicles. We started 2 years ago off a Kickstarter grant, and this is our 12th con now, and we've got 9 books in.
My name is Tom Gondolfi. I run TANSTAAFL Press. Also an author of 4 books in my own right so far, and innumerable short stories. Started 4 years ago. No Kickstarter money.
Don't judge. Don't judge.
This will be my probably 80th convention. I did 24 so far this year, and I got 2 more.
Wow. That's brutal.
Yes, it was.
I'm Jason Zachary Pott. I own and started NEOtrash Comix back in '99, 2000. I moved to Portland not because it was a comic scene. I had no idea that it was the capital of comics until I woke up one day and found it in my backyard. So I went, okay, this is a fit. And I just started writing scripts, and artists started reading my scripts and went, I want to draw this. And I said, okay, but I can't pay you. Don't care, I want to draw it. I said, okay. Next thing I knew, I had a book, and then the next script, hey, I want to draw this. Okay, I can't pay you. No problem, I'll draw it. That's how it's been with every single book I have done. And my advice is don't quit your day job, pay out of pocket, and you can do this.
My name is Jen Vaughn, and I've been making comics since 2008. And I used to work at Fantagraphics as their marketing manager. I am part of the Cartozia Tales anthology. I have postcards if you guys want some. Coffee stained postcards. No. And an imaginary cartography series, all ages. And I've got some comics out through Monkey Brain. And then I also do some mainstream stuff like inking for DC Vertigo, coloring, and line art for Archie.
Hi, I'm Katie Cord. I'm the owner of Evil Girlfriend Media, and we have paid out of pocket. We have done a Kickstarter now. We've published science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and we've been around since January 1st of 2013.
All right, so those are the panels. I'm going to go down, and I'm just going to start right at the top, and I want to hear what is the hardest thing about independent publishing for you guys so far, right, Katie? Because you just had a really successful Kickstarter.
Yeah. The hardest part, I think, is time management, because as an independent, you have a day job, and so you have this career that you aspire to, which is publishing books and being a writer, and hoping like hell that you can make enough money, so this is your whole life. But then you have this practical side where you're like, oh my God, my boss is breathing down my neck, I gotta get this done, I've got to do this job performance has to stay up. And then as you build an audience, people are watching you, and they're expecting the same amount of effort into your publishing and your business. And so for me, I just wish there were more hours in the day, because eventually I do have to sleep. Maybe if I was a vampire, I would have to sleep. That would be better. But yeah, that for me, it's time.
No, I agree. Time, but also planning. So,
yeah.
And actually, like writing down your goals. I actually use a like graph paper, like from school, like math class, and I like chart where I should be, like finishing a story of my own. Obviously, if I'm working for someone else, the deadline was yesterday, so it's really fast. But I chart where I should be, and then I actually have like a second line that shows where I am, so I can like see my major spikes, and it's like noticing how you work best. Like I work really well early morning and late night, so I sometimes sleep for like 5 hours at night and then take a nap in the middle of the day or answer emails then when I'm not working a day job, and then it's like it's knowing how you work best, but being able to recognize.
It's a really good point. That's something I've learned myself is, what time of the day is best for you to work.
Yeah.
I get a lot more done in the afternoon and when the sun is down.
Yeah.
I would have to agree that time is one of those things too, because it's like, when is the best time to write during the day or at night? You work during the day, you come home, you're too exhausted to even sit down and write, your brain's not even in it. Or, hey, is it great that I can go and write in the morning and then go to that job in the afternoon, but then at the same time you're thinking, well, what does my boss want during that time that you are supposed to be writing and all that. So, there is that. But also the other problem I have is artists. Artists are. Let me give you a side thing on that.
Jen's gonna pull it up now.
I do not. I'm being a writer. I do not hang out with other writers essentially because I think we're all a bunch of jerks as writers. Seriously, I just go where the ego is less, and the self importance is less, and the grandioseness of it all is less, and I find that is in the arena of artists. But it's also trying to get artists who think that they're really big now because you've done a comic with them and you've done really well with it, and the comic sells out and you're in your second printing, all that, and it's not about money either. It's just down to, well, I'm doing so well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm doing my own thing, which is great. But you have an agreement with them, you're getting things done, you have the thing all together and stuff like that, but then they're like, oh, I'm kind of like wandering off into this other land, and they'll start another book and they don't finish that one. Or they start another book and they don't finish that one, and they're still doing yours, and this. So it ends up being like that. How do you get them to wrangle them in and have the ego be checked at the door and work with them? And that is a difficult thing. And you wrangle it and you get it to work. I mean, I've managed to because I got a lot of books sitting on my table.
And I want to say not all artists are like that.
No, they're not. But you do.
Managing expectations, though,
yeah.
is
Right.
like, and it sounds like their problem is also time.
Right,
At some
and
point
that's
they-
what it
they
is.
reassess.
And it's trying to get them to be honest with you about that. And saying, hey, look, it's okay, if you can't get to it, let me know, don't string me along. You know, it's like, because they want to help you, they want to do it, but they're like, oh, if I lose this, I'll do this, but I gotta work on this. Let me know that, because that is about time, and we're not gonna get a book out if you don't let me know that. That's where I have that problem. So time on my end and time on their end, trying to get it to sync up. That's where the problem is.
So what about you, Chet? Because like, what's one of the biggest obstacles?
Well, I agree with the other panelists, that time is the enemy. There's just not enough hours in the day to work full-time. We also take care of our elderly father-in-law, and there's never enough hours in the day. You really have to get really, really good at time management and figure out what works for you. I write all the time. I get up an hour and a half sometimes before she does, and I'm writing. And I stay up later than she does, and I'm writing, or promoting, or whatever it is that needs to be done that day. We all wear many hats in our little company. We're all creative, we all do business, we all promote. That helps, but yeah, there's never enough hours in the day.
Real quick, so I want to jump to you real quick, Jen, because you've done the writing and the artistry and your self-publishing. Like, what's the total toll on you for that? Because that's like, I mean, that's adding like a whole nother level to it.
Well, I don't know if there's like a toll, if that's what your question is, but like, I definitely, I guess it's like the landmarks, that's where.
More work, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah, that's when it's like important to have like your goals, your meaty goals, and your faraway goals, because when working with someone else, they're checking in on me, and I'm improving myself usually. But then for myself, it's like, I think it's been like 2 years for my like second Avery Fat Bottom Renaissance Fair detective comic, because I was just like, well, I'm doing everything, I'll do it when I do it, so.
But I'd also like to counter with that, with what you're saying, is that with checking up on them, I don't breathe down my artist's necks. Because I think when I was working in magazines and newspapers, I did political cartoons as an artist. My editor breathed down my neck 24/7. I vowed I'd never do that.
Agreed, but
You
counter. I spent the past 6 months working for PopCat Games in Seattle, like
Oh.
Plants vs. Zombies.
Mhm.
I was producing and editing a project soon to be released, and I wouldn't breathe on people's necks. Like we would set, I always buffer deadlines for other people for writing and drawing, but also knowing that once we got these things back, there were other comics, other things would have to happen. So once someone missed their deadline and then didn't communicate that they were missing it, that's when they get an email like every day. Like, because once they actually say like, hey, my next new few days, I'll be like, cool, you know, I'm a ghost. But you know, it's like if they miss
No,
the
I
deadline,
agree
that's
with
when it's
that.
kind of like, oh, constant communication is the way to go. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
So.
Yeah, I actually work as an editor for Jason now, and I get to be the guy that now I'm gonna take those reins and be like, I'm gonna be your bad guy now.
Oh, I've got those emails, yeah, I know.
I want to build on it a little bit. Yes, time is the enemy, but I think the worst enemy that most of us have is morale.
True.
This business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. If you're expecting to publish your first book and be a New York Times bestseller and have everybody bowing at your feet, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, that's why I was really surprised with his ego comment. It's keeping your morale up week after week after week of doing this. And I'll have to say it, before I did my first actual show, physical show, I was ready to throw in the towel. Because I put three books out in the market and really wasn't seeing anything at all. Started doing my first show, started getting love from the people. Bang, all of a sudden, there's morale. Which is another reason I do a lot of shows, is I need that morale boost.
So basically, no matter all the struggles you're gonna go through, it's just the same thing. Make sure you keep with it and keep a good head about yourself about it.
5 to 7 years minimum.
But 12 like, is the Pixar standard, right? It's like
12 is Pixar?
12 years.
Yeah.
That's how long it took, like 16, but then minus the time for Toy Story, and it took them 12 years to become working professionals.
Exactly.
And that's and a lot of people look at like Lucy Knisley, who did like French Milk or Relish, and they're like, oh, she's such a young cartoonist, like from First Second. It's like her parents owned a bookstore in New York and an imprint at Harper Macmillan, so that she had like these certain steps that helped her. So it's like that Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers. It's like some people have like certain, the exceptions to the rule, but that's what everyone thinks. They're like, I should be a 21-year-old, like, I can't even think of a cartoonist extraordinaire, but it's like, it's hard work, and you see it after, like, you see people like fade out slowly, like from other, and they go to a different industry, or they follow a different trend, and it's just showing up all the time.
Partly what we're hoping some of our artists don't do is fade out and, you know, on
Right.
their own, yeah. Understandable. I'm gonna kick on one thing here, pun intended. So Chuck has done a Kickstarter. You have not. We're working on one. Have you done a Kickstarter?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Oh, you did do one.
Yeah, 50,000 for Cartozia Tales and $250,000 for Fantagraphics. So,
Whoa, that's great. Nice.
Don't
And
ever
then-
agree to paint Converse shoes.
So, and then Katie just did a
Yes.
practical, Women in Practical Armor Kickstarter, which was very successful too. You got what, 350% of your goal or something
Yes.
like that?
Yeah.
That's awesome, that's awesome. So what do you guys think is, how does it really help Kickstarter in a sense when it's getting you out there?
It gives you a resource. I mean, you don't have to be out of pocket for every single expense, and it gives allow you to do more advertising, more everything. It's because most of us, you know, if you're doing it out of your paycheck, you're limited to what you can do.
I agree. I happen to have a really, really good job, and I have a lot of funds that I can keep my book business afloat until it's paying itself its own way. But I also want to do an anime out of Toy Wars. Okay, well, there's 300,000 minimum that I'm going to need for all of the pieces. I'm not going to be able to fund 300 grand. Okay, so I intend, once I have, you know, the people there to the fans, to be able to do a Kickstarter. And it's a great resource, but know that we're starting to get lashback on crowdfunding, okay? Because there's no guarantees in place that people will get what they're putting their money in
A lot
for.
of crowdfunding places are starting to change the way they do things because, you know, a lot of people are not fulfilling their.
Exactly.
You don't want to cross the line into fraud, no, I mean.
Yeah.
You have to give them what they were
So it's making it
promised.
harder for people to go in there and say, well, do I wanna help them with this, cause what if I don't get it, and then.
That's why things like comics are somewhat easier to fund, because you can make a bunch of it ahead of time, so it's like if it's half done, then it's basically a pre-order function, versus like
Right.
an anime though, where it's kind of like, a lot of that stuff's gonna happen after the fund.
Yeah, we already had our manuscript. I mean, they're still in the editing process right now, but we knew who our lineup was. We knew the book was ready to go before we started the Kickstarter, because, you know, with it being an anthology, we needed to have a lineup of here's the people, here's the concept, and so I don't see that big a problem as far as like, you know, people kind of bitching about it on the internet. What I saw is a lot of derogatory comments or, you know, put downs about, oh, you need a Kickstarter. I was like, well, I've already been in business 3 years, and if you'd like to see the red line, you know, it's time for us to get some money up front to fund these things. So yeah, I just saw a lot of that where even people who, you know, I consider like social media friends would say things. I'm like, wow, do you realize you're putting me down and we're sort of friends? I've even paid you before to work for me. And now you're telling me I'm a horrible person because I've decided to use a Kickstarter to fund this. So you kind of just have to shut that off and make your plan and know what you need to do for your business and just be like, that's fine, it's my product, I'm gonna do it.
It's a funding source. It's
Yeah.
really no different than going to the bank and saying, I need $10,000 to publish my next book. There's no difference.
You just have to pay back the loan difference.
Well, I'm sort of in a conundrum of, like, I haven't done Kickstarter. I know it's a valuable resource and that it works. It's just that I'm like, do I want to fund a book or do I want to fund a small press? And it's two different approaches and it's two different ideas I have. And because of that clash, I can't make a decision. And that is what makes me still spin my wheels and look at it as a great resource. But I'm not going to go into this half-assed, you know, because if you do, then you get that whole comment on the board of you're a fraud, you're this, you're not living up to your expectations. And I want to live up to my expectation or their expectations, because whichever one I decide to choose to go with.
Why couldn't you do a book first, and then once you've successfully
Well,
done it, then you could do the press?
Well, here's my point, is that I've done a lot of books already, okay? And I've had them done, I've paid for them out of my own pocket. Artists did them for me because they love the script, and I write the script knowing, okay, the artist is my audience too. But if they don't like this and they're bored with it, you don't want them drawing it because you want them to put everything into it. So every artist loves my scripts, they love the story, they love the universe I've created, so they do the books for free. So I have all these books, and it's like, okay, I can present my universe, I have these books to show. Do you want it to continue on? Help me fund this, was my idea of the approach. Now, whether or not that will work, we don't know because I haven't done it yet. I haven't made the decision yet. But I do think that these things are good, but it comes down to time and how do you approach it and make sure that it's, if I'm gonna have a vision, to make sure that it's complete when I present it. And that's where I'm at.
Because crowdfunding, it's like a full-time job on its own,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, it's another whole level of it.
When I sit down
Keep
to
up
do
with
it, I'm looking at it going,
constantly.
this is a full-time job. I mean, if I'm gonna do this, this is it, you know, this is one of those things.
I actually hired an assistant. I did hire someone to help me, and I did pretty much all of the marketing plan, like who is our audience, what is our plan, what is our product. You know, I hired the graphic designers, came up with an image, but when it came down to that 30 days, I had someone who helped me. We're on it every day, writing updates, putting things on social media, and my social media plan was actually already scheduled for the most part. In July, you can ask him. He was sitting there while I was inputting all the tweets and all of that stuff, because you just have to have a really good plan. And to me, it was very beneficial and improved the business for fans, because there are people who are like, oh, I'm a fantasy person, I don't know who these evil girlfriend people are, but this is a really cool book. And then suddenly we saw this huge spike in sales of all of our other books, because now we have this new audience, and people are like, well, I like the concept of this book, you know, download. And so we ended up doing really well overall in the business, because we saw probably about a 75% increase in our sales.
Nice.
And we're still continuing to see it. It's starting to peter off a little bit, but but we just saw this huge jump in our sales, and I was like, okay, well, this works on multiple levels for us. We now have this new product already paid for, and we're getting our products that we already have. We had 7 books out when we had our Kickstarter. We didn't really focus on those books. We focused
7 good books too.
Yeah, we specifically focused on this product, and then that led those fans to our other products. So.
But you bring up a really good point. Since you know you're independent publishing, you know, what's everyone's idea on how important social media is? Because you know you're promoting on your own. You know, you don't have the big backing of a major company that's going to be running commercials for you or things like that. Like how important is social media to you guys?
You absolutely can't do without it. It's invaluable. You would never be able to get your message and your products out there to that many people without it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to use your friends, your fan base, or what you have in one, press people to like sending out a press release like a week before, before it goes live, you know, like you know, so they can see it, and if they're gonna run a story about it, then they have time to write it, and so it can all go live at the same time. Like it's definitely about planning. And
I've had the importance of it reinforced by working for you, and seeing how things get trended and all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely astounding, especially after doing that review I did on John David Vaughn's book. It's like I'm now talking to him online and stuff like that. It is valuable. You meet people to get to learn about other aspects of the business. I'm now learning more about European comics now through this guy than I ever did. So yeah, it is valuable. So yeah.
social media is the new witchcraft.
I would agree.
Well, I agree too. One of the things that we did when we first started with our first set of anthologies, I didn't know the difference between putting out social media that it was like, look at us, we're so great. And that kind of works, it's like a subliminal, but it's the interactive social media that works better because you make it about the fan and their experience and not just, you know, posting about how awesome you are. And it took me a long time to realize that because we were doing like 6 different platforms, each unique post or interaction every day when we first started for the first 8 months. And we weren't really seeing any change in our sales. I was like, oh, I can't keep doing this as far as time goes. And then I started reading more about marketing and how to use social media to interact with people. And that really helped because I realized, okay, we're not really getting to people because they just see this as this flat advertisement that doesn't affect them or make them care about what we're doing. And so I actually do less social media now, but I write things that are more personal towards people that make them want to be involved with the brand.
Get engaged.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
more engaging things. And I never thought I would be this person that I'm constantly reading like marketing websites and like how to write like more engaging content.
I didn't know I was going to be doing that
You
either
know,
when I
you're just,
started the
oh,
website.
you're so trained. I'm like actually becoming this part. I'm actually going back to school for like marketing and communications because I'm so fascinated with how just saying, if I say it this way, I'm going to get this effect. If I say it that way, I'm going to get this effect, and how it's helped the business.
So it's good to know what your audience is going to want to hear from you instead of just putting out any old, you know, promotional material and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Process posts are always amazingly more popular. I find of any kind, whether it's video or just photos clumped together, like going through a piece or a page of art.
That's one thing I've noticed with working with these guys and all that too. Which these 3 down here at the end of the table, Chuck, Tom, and Jason, all right for me also. Yeah, visually, there's got to be something visual about it too when it comes to social media. People just pass over words nowadays. Even with Twitter, it's just all that was supposed to be was words. Just 140 characters, and that was it.
Well, I'm always amazed when I send you one of my stories or interviews or reviews, whatever it is, and then you take it and you make it eye-popping on the site by adding all this stuff.
Thanks.
It's true. It's not just the words. It's like it's all the stuff to draw the eye in and get people engaged.
I love editing, and that's what I look at. Is what's gonna make people look at this and keep going.
I'll even throw in here, I'm the dinosaur of the group. I didn't do much social media at all. I did, but
Do you know how to use it?
but I do very well face to face, much better than a lot of authors and publishers. So everything was going fine, except I had no online sales. But as soon as I really started kicking in, doing some things like reviews for Ronnie, and instead of, as Katie was mentioning, the flat advertisement, look, we got a new book, great, things like, one of my favorites now is I take my purple bear, which if you've seen me in my thing, I've got this purple bear about yay tall. With an M16.
Very popular.
I take him around with me to different places, like I took him to my barber and put him in the barber chair, took a picture of him and.
Did you take him to the dentist?
I took him
I
to the
think I
dentist,
remember the
I took
dentist
him to
one.
my optometrist, which was the most recent one, and he's sitting there in the chair with the big,
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Exactly, and I'm getting a lot more people interested in just what the bear is doing,
I've got a dead baby with a chainsaw.
There you go.
can
Well,
really copy that.
and I have to say, I stole the idea entirely from the folks from Crypticon with their skeleton.
Ah,
They were taking him everywhere, and I said, well, they can do that. I can do this with a purple bear.
I think the mascot functions as a proxy for the audience, like when in a horror book or something, you've got the human character and then like a small cat or dog that's like feeling the feels or being the Greek chorus, so.
We have Chumley. There's her animated skeleton who hands out candy for us every show. People actually come up and say hi to him at shows. I've seen him before. It's really fun.
Yeah, my dead baby with a chainsaw at Comic-Cons brings out the worst in kids. For some reason, they gotta touch it, they gotta punch it, they gotta hit it, they gotta do something. I had this
Start
one.
crying.
I will not say who the artist was, but he was rather famous for Marvel, and his daughter ran across the room of the con with a wiffle bat and bashed it off my table. And I looked at my wife, and she's like, "God, at least it gets a reaction." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So yeah, there is that.
Right, so I wanted to push on to one thing here.
Wait, we should start taking photos for your social media, like they're taking out the trash or
Exactly,
something, I don't know.
yeah. If I was quick enough on the draw, I'd film it.
NEOtrash, yeah.
Yeah, this new age of social media, it's always about
It's like,
always
how can I
have
use
your
that in
camera
my
out.
Don't be annoyed by it.
Yeah, use it, make puns, that's it.
So one of the, I know one of the most trying things with independent publishing and one of the most expensive ventures in independent publishing is the physical product. So, how do you ask this question? Most of you have just pretty much done it out of pocket in the beginning, right, for the physical product. Like, what kind of research do you do to go into it? I mean, do you just like, I'm just gonna do the Amazon
What's the cheapest
auto
paper I can
publishing.
get where you can't still see the other page
And
coming
if I
through?
order more issues, does the price go down?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a major one.
Oh, I wish I was that person. I've spent so much money and so many mistakes. It's not funny. I have a price range now, and I've been very lucky I just seem to fall into people who are really awesome, because I have an amazing book formatter that was my friend beforehand, who makes beautiful books for us, and I can't find anyone else for his price that does the formatting that we do. And then I've used a couple different people for book covers, but I'm using Eloise Knapp now a lot, and I've used Dean Summit, who's worked with Clyde Barker, but I don't mind to spend the money. I have a certain budget I'll pay. I know what I'm looking for, but I really don't like spend more than $1,200 is like the max for the whole finished product. That's, editing, book cover, formatting.
But what about like printing?
Oh, for printing, I mean, we're still small time. Like, my next step is to get into bigger distribution, but right now we're print on demand. I don't see us going past print on demand until we at least reach 15 books, because it's just not at a point where it's going to help me. I'm not going to spend with Ingrams. I think you have to buy like 5,000 books before it's a real discount.
Wow.
And that's storing them in my garage or in my living room, one or the other.
Yeah, you
And
become a small business storage unit of that.
yeah, and so to me, print on demand is fine.
You can find a printer will print low, that's okay, but yeah, if someone says no more than, no less than 1,200, be careful, because you will wind up with storage.
And one time I was in a pinch, and we did do a small, print run that was local. But actually, you know, people complain about the quality of Create Space, but the Create Space books were actually cheaper, and I got them, they were better quality than that
We've been
printer.
really lucky
And
with
so it
them.
was like, I wanna help local, but I need books that don't fall apart when someone opens them at the con, you know, so I'm not an Amazon hater. They've been really great to us, and, you know, when other people become competitive with them, I will use them, but it's not my job to make it Barnes & Noble or other people, or Ingram's or any of them competitive. It's my job to get the best quality work for the best price, and until you can give that to me, I'm gonna go with you to do it, so.
There's definitely nothing wrong with, say, for the last 5 years, stapling your own comics, which is what I've been doing. But I've gotten to that point where time is more important, and having a little bit of money to spend. And also FedEx Office, once it, or whatever it took over from Kinko's, their prices went up and their quality went down over the last like 5 years. So I've actually had really good book printing runs, like of like 1,000 or less. Actually, I do runs of just 50 books from Minutemen Press, and they're everywhere. Like I use them on the East Coast. I've used them in Seattle. The one on Alaska Way is great. I'm right by the pier. And they, yeah, and they're really good about because like our first print run, there was like a major flood. There was like a hurricane on the East Coast, and it affected the glue. And they showed us the books. They said, we will redo your print run. It's just you're not going to have it for the show, like SPX. And we're like, and of course we did it because we know they gave us like 10 damages so we could take them. So they're like super good about that. And like, so say for a comic book that's like just 24 pages from them for black and white with like a color cover, on like with like good cover stock, it's like you can get 50 copies is like $150. So not that bad. It could be cheaper at home, but that at start like how much, like what kind of relationship are you gonna have with your printer? Like do you want to treat it like a loved one or an abusive, like at some point, I don't know, do people like their printers at home? Like
Printers are an abusive relationship.
Right, like
Always.
yeah. It's like,
Always.
I will pay
Yeah.
someone else to take that abuse.
Printers are just waiting to get paid. They're asking for it.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't had any problems with any printers that I've worked with, and it's been great. And now, with that said, I dread the day that I do, now hearing this. But, if
Oh,
you're-
I mean like a printer at home. Like
Right,
connected to your
yeah,
computer.
but just to also say, well, I've been fortunate enough to know when I woke up and said I found comics in my backyard, I started to know that the people I was talking to also owned comic book shops, and I didn't know it, and I was friends with them already. So I would go into the shops with them and talk to them, and they would be printing their own underground comics themselves. I'd go, well, who's your printer? And they would start giving me people, and that's when I started sifting through business cards and all that. And the printer, I did Minutemen first, which was great. They did really, you could get like up to 200 issues, and you could get it below $600 and have it be full color, good cardstock cover, and good interior pages. Then through that, learning more people and hooking up with a letterer, Devon Devereaux, he's a guy, contact with a guy in Jersey, who I now do, it's great turnaround. He'll do a print up, and you'll get it within a week. And it was $600 for 200 issues. I'm staying with this guy. Because everybody said, hey, go and get 1,200 issues from this printer in Korea, and it's going to be this price. Yeah, and the day of the show, you're going, well, they told me they're going to be here soon, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying, try to keep things in-house, meaning within the U.S., because you'll probably get a better turnaround than if you do go overseas. I'm just saying, if you want to go overseas to get a printer, that's fine. Stay local if you can, because I'm saying your turnaround is a long time if you go overseas. Other than that, you can get someone to print up 250 issues of a book for less than $600. And all it is just get a bunch of people to get on board and say, hey, let's put on a show. And you can make a book. And it's not hard. It's not hard at all.
So I've been in the gaming industry off and on for 30 years or so. And printers are really good about, hey, we'll give you this great price up front. You get the first print run, and it always comes out looking stellar, and then everyone after that is garbage, and they charge you more.
I've heard that
Okay,
very
that is so typical. I have to say that when I started, I had delusions of grandeur. My first 3 books, I actually print offset, and I got it I did a lot of research on price and people. And I got 1,000 prints offset for about 2/3 of what I paid for a print on demand. And back then, print on demand was still not in its glory days. It still was not quite as good. But you have to worry about the fact that as soon as you push the button and say print this book, if there's anything wrong, you're stuck with 1,000 books. And you're talking $3,000 or $4,000 just out of your pocket. And if it's wrong, you're just out of luck. I really like, for small, just beginning authors and publishers, I love Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard horror stories about people who've had problems with them. I publish now, 4 books through them. I have not had a single problem in all the prints that I've ever had.
All
Not
9 of
one.
our books. All 9 of our books were through them, and we've never had a problem. And then the one time we did, they messed up a cover, they fixed it.
Do you think it's the person? I don't mean Amazon, but I mean the person. Do you think that they're like bugging Amazon and that's causing problems for them? I mean,
Well,
'cause
I don't know.
because that's what I have. I've had a lot of people say, well, I'm gonna contact this person, tell them what's what. I'm like, okay, but, if you're trying to get your book from them and you go and you start this war with them,
Doesn't pay to be adversarial.
Right.
It does seem like a lot of problems with Amazon are operator error. I mean, they try to make it as simple as possible for you.
I can do it, which means that anybody can do it. I'm a computer idiot, and we've successfully put out 9 books, and so they walk you through every step of
We
it.
need to
Yeah.
talk later. I'm having problems.
It was easier to do Amazon than it was to work with my offset press people.
Yeah.
And the reason I left them was basically because I got one book that the book covers ended up bad. They didn't fuse the book covers correctly, and so you ended up with all these, every time you ship them, they'd end up with these white places where the ink would effectively rub off.
Oh, geez.
And their solution to this problem wasn't to reprint the books, it was to put them in plastic wrap.
So I have, so basically, you guys all are writers and artists. Artists, extraordinary, whatever. Basically, your main goal was to just, make your project and, make your project, get it out there. So what was it like going from, I'm writing a book or I'm making a comic book, I'm doing this, and now you're going into the independent publishing side of it, and now you've got to change mindsets and go into the business management portion of it.
Totally a no-brainer for me.
None?
Totally a no-brainer. My day job, I do a lot of vendor management and program management. When I decided to do my own, it was like, sure, I'll take this guy along with somebody I'd been shepherding his career. I'll bring him along. And once I got enough fans, then picking up more artists or more authors was no brainer. But it is nothing for me to publish someone else's book. It is nothing. It takes so little of my time because I farm out each of the pieces. Although I do need to talk to Katie about whoever she's getting doing her line editing, because she's getting it done a lot cheaper than I am. So
Well, so like Jen, you already did marketing management and stuff like that before.
I was trying to escape it.
Okay. What about you, Katie?
I think the only hard part for me is you're putting other people before your projects. Because you have this business contract with someone, you've promised these things, and so suddenly something happens, and you're like, no, this is my time to write for myself, and then you're like, well, no, I have to take care of the business first. So there'll be a week might go back sometimes. Like, I didn't write anything for myself during the Kickstarter, or the weeks after that, because I was so completely exhausted.
I don't know, we're talking, you're like, you should see my house.
So,
Kid, you're supposed to step up there.
It looks awesome.
but yeah, so it's just, sometimes that's a little aggravating, because you know that now this is kind of like your child, you're always nurturing, you're always growing this project. There's all of these people now working for you and with you, and you just want to sit down for 2 hours and write on a project that you've been working on forever, but suddenly you have 3 emails in your inbox and everybody's like, this is an emergency. So that's the only part for me that is frustrating, is that you're taking care of this business and these people first. And so you're constantly kind of putting them ahead of your creative needs, because you have a contract with them. And so if you're going to keep that contract and you're going to be a business person, then you have to act like one, which means that your inner creative child sometimes has temper tantrums. Feels emotionally neglected.
I will say one of my new authors is a drama queen, so it's.
So what about you, Chet?
For us, I'd say we were total babes in the woods. We had no idea of business management or any of this stuff when we got into it. It's been a learning curve for us. Our first con, people walked up, hey, you guys get credit cards? Oh.
We should have thought.
There's all those little details that we learned as we went along, basically by doing the absolute wrong thing and learning from it. But,
At least you learned.
yeah, you have to be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you're going to do bonehead things, and it's going to cost you time and money, but you're going to have to recover from it. And like he says, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Because you had a bad business day today doesn't mean you're going to have one tomorrow. You know, it's you have to keep plugging away at it.
I would have to agree on that. I'm the same way as him, learning as we went. But also, it's better to learn as you go and just pick yourself up, dust off, and just say, oh well. Because there's so many people in this business, and I've dealt with them so many times, that when you sit down at the table, the doors open up, and it's only 5 seconds in, and suddenly the guy next to me is going, God, this one's a total bust. We haven't sold anything. And I'm looking at him.
Been next to that guy.
The door's just open. I have a pitch. Don't worry. I'll get this going. I mean, people would walk by and they'd mouth the words, dead babies with chainsaws. Oh, that's funny. I go, no, you can't say the name without picking it up and looking at it. And they go, oh, okay, and they pick it up and they buy it. I'm like, looking at it, you gotta come to the table and sell too, I mean, I've always had this thing, I say to Ronnie all the time, it's like, you wanna know who the artist is? If a guy's got his head down on the table at a con, he's either exhausted because he's gotten everything in there and all on his own and he's by himself and no one's helping him and he's sleeping, or it's the artist. Because they're either drawing, which is fine, but if you want to sell your stuff, you got to put yourself out there and sell it and be a salesperson too.
And I would say if any of this has sounded terrifying or turned you off, there's always going to be someone like printers or publishers or editors who are looking for work, and so maybe you just aren't part of the small business. Maybe you just give them your work, and then you fade away. They print the book for you and give it to you, which is
that doesn't work, and you know it.
It's the dream.
It's the dream, but it's not true.
But
it can happen.
It can't happen, and you don't have to print books for other people too, because I know that's what we've been talking about a lot.
We all want HarperCollins to call us.
I want someone.
No, we don't.
If someone comes along and says, "Hey, I love your whole universe. I'm going to pick it up and publish it for you," you're thinking, I've made it, but then also you got to think about, well, what are they going to change?
I just meant other people that we know. I didn't mean like a publisher.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah.
I see where these brains
But no, but it's both. It is
Yeah,
both.
well,
It does happen. It does happen, but it's called the Cinderella story.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what it is. It
I'm
does
talking
happen.
like talking to people in bars or at coffee shops and building on the relationships where someone's like, a person that just has no management skills and doesn't want to
And I
improve
would agree
upon
with that
them.
too. No,
Like
you're
those,
absolutely right.
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not.
Mhm.
Never mind.
But that's the same thing like with going with self-published versus an a small publisher, or trying to find a bigger publisher. Some people don't really want to have a brand identity. They want to have someone behind them, and if that means they make less money, that is better for them. And that's one of the things that I found with people is a lot of people do want to have a name behind them of some kind. For me, even when I first started, like, he's known me for a long time. When we first met, I self-published my first book, and I was like, "Hi, I'm cute, and then people would come up and buy books, I'd be like, "Yeah, I wrote that. Would you like to buy it?" I was like, "I'll give it to you for $5." I had to you have to build up to it. You have to know what you're worth and have a brand. And I'll go home tonight and won't talk probably for the rest of the night because I'll be exhausted from doing this one panel. But yeah, it's like we have to have that confidence and be like, our stuff is great, but that's hard because writers we're all emo, all deep down, we're all sensitive, we all think we're crap, our stuff is not worth
I won't go
anything.
that far, but we're all, as a class, introverts.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Jason might not like me here.
Well,
Well,
no.
this spreadsheet
All
is done,
artists.
because
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, I come from a group that's like, I do these cons, but then I'm also with the real, true underground guys that are really hardcore, and they are intense. I mean, I'm saying, dude, they are like old Genesis fans, they want the Peter Gabriel back, you know what I'm saying? And they are intense, and they're like, you're doing Jet City, traitor, kind of thing. And it's like, wow, guys, relax, I mean, I love underground comics just like you, but also I want my audience, my comics are not just underground, they're also fun, and there's another audience for them too, and this is where I find that other audience.
Yeah.
But you will find those guys that are just the underground guys who do their own thing, staple their own comics together. Sometimes they put them together with string, and you find them in the old record shops or the old hole-in-the-wall comic shops and stuff like that. Those guys are very intense. They're very anti-business. They're very anti-establishment. Yet they still put out books. It's amazing. But again, it's like there's two worlds.
But they're doing it almost as a vanity press. They're not doing it to make money.
And I agree.
Or you make fans, for that matter, really.
Well, yeah, because how wide of a distribution can you
Your
get?
six friends read your comic and hand it back to you, and then.
But there is a world of that, and they
Yeah.
all do congregate together, and they all survive, and it's amazing. But they are very intense, and very anti much what we're doing here, and don't let that, what I'm saying is I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying that there's two realms to this whole world. So there is that side that you can be in, that you can make your own things, and totally not need this. But at the same time, what they're saying here is absolutely valid and true, and it's absolutely going to help you in the long run as well. It's just that there's two worlds.
There's so many aspects of it. There's different kinds of audiences,
Mhm.
and some audiences will like the same thing and something else.
Yep.
Come on.
It's like hey, that's why the motto of my company is, hey, if you like us, tell a friend. If not, tell an enemy.
Okay, stealing that. Writing
I'm
that down.
acknowledging the two worlds.
I like that.
So just real quick, does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask here? Just one.
Georgia, did you have a question?
Calling you out. No?
Think.
All right.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
There we go.
Wait.
Yay!
In creating space to actually write, how hard is it for you guys actually, since you all seem like you have 2-3 lives going on, how hard is it to actually create a space that is actually your own space that doesn't get invaded by other people?
At home or mentally, or both?
Both.
It definitely is priorities to a degree. Like, it's like, do I want to binge watch another Netflix series?
Yes, you do.
Like, do I need a boyfriend? Like, there's, no, not necessarily like that shit, but it's like, like making all your meals on
Probably
Sunday,
movies
and
over
like
here a
freezing
little
them,
bit,
and like figuring out like how you can save time. Maybe not going out with all your friends, every time they call. Like, it's definitely priorities.
I intentionally waited until I retired. So all my children are gone. It's just my wife and myself, and we're both hermits. So I can make whatever space I want, both physically and mentally, and we do great. So I am the exception to the rule, guys, except for my work, of course, who intrudes on everything.
I try to find as much time as I can, and when I do, I write on the floor. I find myself on my living room floor, hunched over notebooks, and my wife's going, "Your posture's going to be bad for that."
Yes, he
I
does.
try to sit at a table and do the clack, 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 clack. I write everything longhand. I write everything because people are, don't you back things up? Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, I agree with writing it, because at the computer, it's so easy to erase things. Writing it, it triggers something different.
Every script I have is handwritten like this tall, and then when I type it out, it's like that. I mean, I have it filed away. It's my hard copy and that. But yeah, I try to sit at a table and I can't. And I'll have like, a concept album on, or the Soul Channel on Music Choice, and I'm on the floor writing. I wish I could sit at a desk.
I'm always writing in my head, and I actually have walked into parked cars and other obstacles.
I haven't experienced that, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty notorious, and people who know me, they'll see me walking around. It's like he's writing his head, so they don't talk to me. But I will walk into buildings and cars.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
For the people that had a successful Kickstarter, what were the ways that you determined what your rewards were going to be?
That's a good question.
Yes, thank you.
For us, it was, basically what we had was our product, was our books. We, you know, we gave books at certain levels, complete sets of books at different levels, you know, side merchandise. We actually did a thing where people got to be a character in our book. We used their name. If they donate a certain amount of money, they got to be a character in the book. That was very successful for us.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on what it is, but if it's a comic, yeah. Also, original art from the book, from the artist if they're willing, postcards with just the covers or some kind of thing, like a smaller thing too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I like that, definitely back to Kickstarter for some friends, and I'll just say Minnesota, at a press, and I super hated the book, but I like them, so it's just like, so it's like sitting like freshly wrapped, I'm like, who can I give this to? Like,
Re-gift.
graphic novel, yeah, I feel terrible, but I was just like, you know.
I saw a guy who funded his comic completely by giving out little electronic downloadable avatars for people to put on like their Facebook icon thing and stuff like that. And
That's
it
a
was
good
like for like
trend, too.
$1.50 each, and like
All
everybody
digital
downloaded them, and next thing you knew,
billboards.
he had $2,000.
Although, since you're a writer, I would do something, I would do like the physical, like
Yeah.
message in a bottle, like you will write a poem about a person, mail it to them in this bottle, and it's like complete mysteries, like people have to send it to someone else, like,
Oh, that's
I feel like
cute.
you're more
That's
gothic
cool.
person,
Wow.
so.
That is
That's
a really
cool.
unique
I think
idea.
what
That's
I'm
cool, I like
worried
that.
about is I've heard
Anything outside the
stories, like
box.
horror stories of like, I'm working like with my husband, the artist on the book, of committing too much to too many rewards about him
That's true.
producing.
You
Oh
can.
my god, do not, we
Yeah.
had 100 rewards with the Fantagraphics one, I thought I was gonna die, so, yeah. And like,
So
yeah,
limit it, make
limit
sure-
it, and then also within your realm, like if you have friends that are like, I'm gonna promise you the moon and 10 prints, like a few friends is fine, but don't rely on a bunch of people outside of yourself to provide
Yeah.
the rewards, cause then you're doing a third job of like bothering them instead of doing it with you and your husband.
Are you saying no outsource the rewards? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like if like someone's like, I'll do 10 prints of your artwork for you
Oh.
that you can use, that's fine. But if you have 5 other friends that are like, yeah, I'll help too, and it's like all knit hats, and you're just like, like that's too far out,
Yeah.
or like, but
Mhm.
also then you're like waiting on them to finish stuff for
Mhm.
you, and
Unfortunately, a lot of people think if they go to your Facebook Kickstarter thing and they go, okay, my work is finished.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then what about you? Because yours was a unique concept for a book, which I
Well, I kind of went with the branding of the idea of that people want more women in practical armor. And so I thought
No.
I thought of things that I would be proud to have. And so like and I also copied another independent press, Ragnarok Publications, who had multiple Kickstarters fund, but they would do these really cool medallions, and I was like, I don't really want a medallion, but a keychain would be really cool. And so I was able to get an awesome keychain, and everybody loves t-shirts. I love t-shirts, so I was like, okay, we'll do a t-shirt, and we just kind of created that concept, like you could have the t-shirt, you could have the medallion. I went ahead and priced them, so I knew exactly what I was paying per unit, and how much would that take out of my Kickstarter. And then because it's an anthology, we kind of sent out a poll, and we were like, okay, besides being a writer, what other awesome things do you do? And one of the gentlemen actually works with creating Braille books, and so he was printing out copies of the book in Braille for people. And then someone else writes music, and so there were 4 people could get a song composed for them, and then what was the other one that did? And then there were people who would write personal stories for you, and then some people just wanted signed books, because we were able to get a couple of authors that people really like Ed Greenwood was the editor, and he's worked with Dungeons and Dragons, so we had a couple of his fans who purchased the book at extra cost, so he would sign it for them.
Always charge $5 more for a signed copy.
Yeah.
You're already gonna write them a note in the book,
Yeah.
And then we had a poster which was more kind of like a personal statement, because the book is about seasoned women warriors, and so we went with a woman who's actually middle-aged in full armor for the poster, and we weren't sure anyone would purchase that, because one of our photographers was like, oh no, you need someone younger, and I'm like, no, that defeats the point of what we're trying to say here, which is that middle-aged women are valuable and are warriors because they've already fought half their life. So but that actually worked out really well too. People were like, no, this is kick-ass, if we can have a guy with a gray beard and a armor, why can't we have a woman with gray hair? So yeah,
Damn right.
so those were the things that we looked at. And I just didn't want it to be complicated. I was like, oh my God, I got enough stuff to do in my life. I can't be sitting here reading surveys for like 6 hours, you know, creating all these little
Need your
spreadsheets.
Oh, I made a dress out of my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And also I like having a lot of cool things is helpful, but also like kind of like streamline it with whatever genre you're writing for too a little bit. Because my friend was like, what's wrong with my, you know, Kickstarter? And it was all Victorian stuff, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for like a monocle keychain or anything. And he was like, flash drives, and I was like, that is not a luxury item. Like, for me, a flash drive, I'm gonna buy one at the grocery store. Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, and the flash drives aren't a good one, but like it was Victorian. Like, you know, I was like,
I think Janine Southard, I'm a firm believer in copying. You don't have to copy verbatim, but you can learn from other people. And
Imitate until you can innovate.
But Janine Southard is someone you might want to look at. She has funded multiple single author books. And she's talked about it like GirlCon and a couple different conventions about her experience. I don't know if you'd be able to like research her on Kickstarter and see what she's done.
yeah. Jimmy Palmiotti is like continually been doing all of his books through Kickstarter. He's
Yeah,
not doing
he
Harlequin,
has.
and I love his. He does grab bags, and I know you've got enough like comps lying around, so you can just like they do the mystery bag like as well. Like, you know, for this much money, you get a copy of the book and 3 of whatever's, you know. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. It was really awesome. I want to thank our panelists again. We've got C.S. Anderson, Alucard Press, Thomas Gondolfi of TANSTAAFL Press, which it stands for There Ain't No Such Thing as a Free Lunch.
I was wondering what that stood for.
You didn't know?
You didn't know?
You're in the publishing business, you did, oh my God, Katie.
No.
I'm sorry, unfriend.
You're a pretty special person, so I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm just gonna accept him for who he is.
I am special, I'll tell you that.
And then we have Jason Zachary Pott from NEOtrash Comics.
If you're looking
Excuse
for,
me,
if you're
Jen
looking for
Vaughn.
something different, come check me out.
Cartozia Tales and from Fantagraphic Books. And then the beautiful Katie Cord, who is actually Agent Carter today. From Evil Girlfriend Media. So, and definitely get online, check them all out. They've all got some great stuff. Go check them out at their table. Well, Katie doesn't have a table here this weekend, but evilgirlfriendmedia.com. Do you have a website? Is it just
CartoziaTales.com.
CartoziaTales.com, that's what it is. And then NeotrashComics.com, TANSTAAFLpress.com. You don't have a website.
Still working on the website.com?
Look for C.S. Anderson on Facebook. Or Black Irish on Facebook. And otherwise, you can find those 3 and some stuff about these 2 at sci-fimonkeys.com too. And thanks again for coming out, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.